name is Abbey Ness, and I am a project manager with my company. We do mostly work for the federal government. And I've been with my company for over 5 years now. I was actually employee number 3, and we are now up to about 17 folks. So the company has gone through an incredible transition period over the last few years, adjusting to the growth. It's just really been a whirlwind. And I realized last fall, about 5 years in, that because I had just been treading water for several years, that I really didn't know where I was going with my career. I had been just trying to keep up. And I had also accomplished everything in my career that I had thought I wanted to. I was a project manager. I was a people manager. I was influencing the strategic direction of the company. And I had done it, but I'm only in my mid-30s. So surely there must be something else for me to aspire to. And yet I didn't really know what that was. So I very much felt stuck in some ways. I knew I wanted to continue in my current role in my current company somehow. But it also, there were some things about it where it almost didn't feel sustainable because I wasn't sure if there were opportunities for me to grow. I wasn't sure how to have that conversation with my boss. And I just needed somebody to kind of help guide me through the process of thinking big picture about the direction that I was headed in. So I'd actually been looking for a professional coach for a while and locally, and just didn't find anyone who seemed like a good fit. And so I broadened my search to the entire state, and that's when I found Cindy. And what immediately struck me about the value of working with Cindy was, one, the fact that she had started her own business, had grown it, had sold it, had gone through the whole process of being a CEO, hiring people, in the most challenging parts of being in business Cindy had done. And I really wanted somebody who could speak to that particular part of my experience, just knowing that that acclimating to the growth and figuring out where I wanted to go as the company was growing was such a huge part of my story. But then the second thing that was really attractive was the fact that there was this immersion opportunity. So I had tried a little bit of coaching in the past, but not being able to sort of pull, doing that occasionally didn't allow me the chance to really break away from my day-to-day routine and have that separation I needed to dive in, think big picture, think strategically, and have an extended conversation about the things that I was facing. So I loved that was part of the package, that I could just focus, have focused time with someone who could provide that outside perspective, could provide her experience, and add that into the mix, and just focus on me and what I needed from it. My husband certainly was grateful to not have to fulfill that role for me all the time. But no, it just, I was blown away by how meaningful those discussions were during the immersion. Cindy had me sit down and think methodically about what is it that fulfills me about work, about my hobbies and interests and family life, about my relationships. And I had never really been prompted to think like that before. Usually when I was thinking about my future career path, it was limited to the opportunities that I could see in front of me. And I would think about, how do I get to that thing that I can see? My scope had never been broadened to think about what actually brings me joy or helps me to thrive. And by doing that, it freed me from the constraints that I had placed on myself, and thinking about what I wanted from work and from my personal life. Cindy's really great about pointing out that we are holistic people, that we're not just about work, that we also have all these other things going on that can also help us thrive. And so I really appreciated that approach. And again, had just never thought about that before. I very much came into the immersion experience completely burned out, very hopeless about how to approach the conversations. It just felt like I didn't have the language to be able to talk with anyone about what I was feeling or um, what I wanted. And so Cindy gave me that, like being able to articulate what it was that I was missing and what would help me thrive has just made all the difference in my outlook on work and my outlook and how I approach my personal relationships. It truly has been transformative. And since then, I've been able to have some really impactful conversations at work and fortunately my boss is very, very supportive of having these kinds of conversations, but we have been able to build, from the ground up what a future role for me would look like at the company that gives me hope that I can stay there long term and feel fulfilled, and still leave room for growth, for experimentation, for innovation, all the things that I just really love about working in general. So it's been just transformative, just completely different situation now than I was in before meeting with Cindy. And I also have taken advantage of the monthly coaching with her as well, which has been really great in sort of following up on the goals that I've set for myself, holding me accountable to them, and then dealing with issues that have popped up along the way in a way that is still aligning with the conversations that we had during the immersion as well. One of the real benefits of the immersion experience was just kind of getting out of my day-to-day life, having a little bit of mental separation to take a step back and think strategically about where I wanted to go in the future. And so I was, packed up my stuff and headed out to Cindy's, and it was a long drive, lots of time to think, but it just getting away. I've from the kid juggling, from the logistics of household management, from work travel, from all of the meetings and calls, having the space to be apart from that in a place that is so serene and incredibly beautiful and just very grounding, to be able to be in such a natural environment like that. Being able to talk with Cindy and Matthew about their experiences, and it'll be clear to you if you go that hospitality is like one of their core gifts. Like they are so good at making you feel at home, at giving you the space that you need to adjust, to reflect, to think, and they have a beautiful space. And Matthew's an incredible cook. Like I felt pampered the whole time I was there. So much so that I even fell asleep early before doing my homework, but don't tell Cindy that. So, but no, it was the experience, the relaxing experience that I needed to still my mind and my concerns, and just be able to have that space to think. Every detail was perfect, from them waiting at the door for me when I showed up, to having the welcome basket of goodies, to having a beautiful space for me to stay in, to the dogs running around. It was just lovely. And I would just highly recommend that if you have the chance to go, that you do it, that you take the plunge, that you have the experience, because it is just, you won't regret it. It's just, like I said before, it's just truly transformative.